Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kepada pengurusi majlis. Thank to our honorable chairman for having us, and welcome to all the audience for having us, those who are called the Proteges of Dr. Zakir Naik. Inshallah, actually I prepared my speech in Malay. Not prepared, but I was thinking because all the. But then I was instructed to speak in English because of the benefit of the greater audience. Of course, the training itself is in English and the topic of the conference is in English. So you can see on the stage, I will try to introduce myself a little bit, and then I will share what I have benefited, what I have experienced throughout the training. Hopefully, it can benefit your time by being here with us today. So my name is Syafiq Muhammad Apandi. Syafiq Muhammad Apandi is actually my actual name, but then when you travel around, having a 4 words name is quite difficult, so you just take the Syafiq and Apandi. So my Apandi is my father's name. My name is Syafiq. I originated from Kelantan. I'm from Kelantan, a typical Malay boy who's being born and raised. I've been moving around. My father is a soldier, my mom is a teacher, so I've been traveling around from Sabah. I've lived in Sabah for 4 years. I've lived in Kuantan for 3 years. I've lived in Kelantan for 3 years. I've done my secondary school in Sekolah Sains Alam Shah in Cheras. So I didn't have this ideal of being a da'i. It doesn't cross my mind. Even it doesn't cross my mind to speak in front of you as someone who is speaking as a student or a protege of Dr. Zakir Naik. So I was completely living in an isolated Malay world, all Muslim world, to be specific, Malay Muslim world, with no connection with non-Muslim, with no any exterior motivation to do any contact with non-Muslim. And how did I manage to get to reach this far? So, of course, in the audience, those are actually already far better da'is than myself, and I don't normally use the word da'i actually in my personal, normally because all my audiences throughout my 4 years involvement to da'wah to non-Muslims specifically, because you don't say hi, how are you, John, how are you, I'm a da'i. You don't introduce yourself as a da'i. But the word da'i is significant in the Muslim world. So when you say da'i, he's someone who actually involved in doing da'wah. So to be specific today, when we say da'wah, that all of you probably have received training from Zakir, because Zakir is also one of my first guruji. We say in India it's guruji, or our guru, our teacher, and including Firdaus Wong, Brother Firdaus Wong, and also Abu Sharis. These are all actually my teachers. And actually, coincidentally, I'm actually the youngest of all the participants, and probably I'm the only Malay. Because to be, if you just go through the pictures, I suppose like most of them are reverts, and I'm the only one who actually born Malay. And very typical Kelantan, like budu. I like to eat budu and stuff, keropok leko, and suddenly how I actually become someone who actually involved speaking, addressing to the non-Muslim for over 4 years since now. My first involvement is actually in Islamic Outreach. I've been doing the MTG. I can see most of my friends from MTG is here, because MTG is, I was actually doing my degree in biotechnology in IIUM in Kuantan, and at the second year I found myself, I wanted to learn Arabic. So I traveled, because one of the other name, I traveled to Kuala Lumpur every weekend. Every weekend I traveled with my friend in Kuantan. We take a motorcycle, a simple motorcycle, LC something, one motorcycle, 2 person, going all the highway from Kuantan to attend a 2 hours Arabic class. It was conducted by the Honorable Sifu Nasir. He has a class called Squad Rempit, meaning that he compressed 2 years of Arabic courses, and then he wants to present it in 4 months. So he said we have to go. So I went there. So that's one of parts of the bits of my journey. And then I stopped. Normally I stop at the masjid, and there's so many non-Muslims, especially for Masjid Negara conservative number would probably 2,000 non-Muslims every day. And then I was involving myself in Masjid Putrajaya for quite some time. So I've been speaking, normally all my speeches are in front of non-Muslims. So this is probably one of the first public lecture or public speech that I present in front of Muslim, because Muslim wasn't really my audience. So I've never spoke about Islam or ceramah or fiqh or anything, because it doesn't cross my mind to speak to the Muslim, because you all know better than me. So, but if I just tell Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad to the non-Muslim, it's the whole thing for them, because they're never actually exposed to that. So, Alhamdulillah, throughout the course, and then I found myself speaking different languages every day, because there's non-Muslim from all over the world, and 90% are Chinese. So I start learning Chinese. I actually traveled in China for the past last year actually. I just got back. Brother Zakir called me and then he said, you have to come for the conference. And I said, okay, inshallah, I will come. And I come back all the way from Japan, because I was studying Japan at the moment. Going straight to the training, IDTP, International Da'wah Training Program, conceived and planned by Dr. Zakir Naik, 2016 in Mumbai. I didn't know that it was actually promoted in his Peace TV. Those who are watching Peace TV in their homes or internet, it's actually advertised. And actually, I didn't know that so many people are applying for this. I was in Taiwan at that time receiving Taiwan scholarship for learning Chinese. I was learning Chinese because I want to do da'wah to the Chinese community or to share Islam. I don't normally use the word da'wah, I said share. Like when I was studying in China, and say like, why do you want to learn Chinese? I said like, I want to share my culture. So I don't use word like I want to do da'wah to you. No, it's like you don't, like very sensitive words. Like da'wah is probably more relevant for the Muslim audience, because da'wah is actually invite. So invite is actually a very diplomatic word, inviting. But da'wah is quite offensive for some people. And then for the training, for the IDTP, the way that they interview, at least how my interview was done. I want to share you one thing, how they select this participant. Like for my case, they actually go through the resume, and then he wants to know, one of the main criteria how to be accepted is how passionate you are in da'wah. And then one of the key questions that he asked, are you willing to be a full-time da'i? So he's not taking like if you are part-time or you are like, I'm a da'i during the night between 12 o'clock and 12 a.m. until 6 a.m. And then in the day I'm a working employee or something. So he's not looking for that. So he's specifically, and when I say one of the main things that I mentioned in the resume is I speak Chinese, and then I speak some Arabic, and then I speak some Japanese, and then he actually go all the way, how many percent of Chinese do you know? And I said, I don't know much, I just started recently, probably 60-50%. And then the one who interviewed me is someone I will introduce to you, one of the best, the closest ally to Dr. Zakir Naik, his own student, brother Kalimbai, we call it. Kalimbai, eh? So he's the best, and he's also one of our teachers. During the training, there's three key figures, which is Dr. Zakir Naik conducted probably 80% or 90% of the training in terms of techniques, but lots of our homework and our development is monitored by these other two, which is Brother Attar Khan and Said Kalim, which is a very important figure in this training, because they are the key in how in developing all of us here. He is the one who pushes us to the limit, and then I normally before the class I will make dua, Allahumma inni a'udzubika minal kalim. Like I actually seek refuge from this, because they are really fierce. Like the first thing in the morning they will ask is, have you done your homework? For example, in the first week, one of the first homework that he gave us is to memorize the 114 surah together with the meaning, the Arabic, and you have to do it in a certain amount of time. For example, like Surah Al-Fatihah chapter 1, the opening chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, the Cow chapter 3, Al-Imran. So all the way until 114. So you have to do it within the first week, supposedly. And most of us, alhamdulillah, I think almost 100% of us that done that. Brother Farid Naik, the son of Dr. Zakir, clocked under 3 minutes. The whole thing, and it's just a beginning. Then we start memorizing the verses of all other scriptures and the Quran. Because normally, have you noticed the way that Dr. Zakir Naik trained us? It's not merely just memorizing. Of course, we have to present that. And then we have a training, what we call, everybody have to walk on the podium. So actually we are all trained to speak like him on a certain level, just for the beginning, so that you get the feel. Because the whole training is recorded in Peace TV, and Peace TV have over 200 million viewers. So it was a new thing. So if you relate my background just now, and then suddenly being on a stage, on speaking on international da'wah platform, it doesn't really have any connection. So that's how I think Allah has made this way for me, and very interesting, and Allah has blessed me with so many things. So that's number one. And about going back to the interview, he called someone from China to call me to verify my Chinese. So that's how far he goes to actually understand each of the participants. So each participant have their own weaknesses and advantages. Like he actually knows everyone before he accepts people to become to join part of this IDTP. And there's only 20 students, actually 21, and there's one student actually dropped in the beginning. He couldn't take it because it's so stressful. And then towards the second stage, we only barely, like, the classes conducted are 16 hours per day. Almost 16, 10 hours, 12 hours, pure class every day. Including speech, including memorization, including taking the homework. And within 45 days, and I slept more, probably because I'm the lazy student. And I was just joking. But I'm probably one of, not the best student, but all the other brothers, all the other Proteges are really amazing people. And Dr. Zakir Naik only sleep half an hour a day. And you can testify with his own son. We actually visited his house. And even we visited his house at 1 a.m. and he's still not back from the studio. Because he is like really something that, although you may have some disagreement or anything, but he is someone who is, you can learn a lot in terms of how he managed things. He actually controls even the mic. He knows how to control the mic. He knows how to adjust the camera, because these are all his weapons. What's the time now? I didn't listen to any. I didn't notice that the chairman didn't actually introduce how the flow of the event, but I was told that we just give some introduction, and then we have question and answer. So if I finish early, so you have more time for question and answer, so that you can ask what you actually come here for. So because we don't know what you are actually coming here for. So that's the background, a little bit of myself and how I was involved. And alhamdulillah, every day I've been speaking to non-Muslims. I've been living with non-Muslims for the past 2 years actually. I was in China for 6 months. I was in Taiwan for 3 months. I was in Japan for almost 2 months. I was in Philippines. I was in Mumbai, India. One of the best experience that I have. Every day you eat curry and dal. Every day curry and dal, kana. It's like pali. He's like, give me the drinks. I need drinks. Because you're just basically on the studio, and then you cannot move, and then you are just constantly reading notes, and then you have constantly listening to Dr. Zakir Naik's speeches. And before I end, one of the things that probably is very interesting is how do you justify. For example, every time after he finished the talk or he give a point, and he will just ask, how many percent do you think is my speech? Like how many marks did you give to that particular speech? For example, he showed a clip, he answered about hijab. One of his clips on YouTube. So when the sisters asked, like, why does Muslim woman have to wear hijab? And then he gave his answer. And then he will ask all the students, how many marks you give? So he's like, 80%. 60%, raise your hand. 70%, raise your hand. 80% or 50%. So when you say 50%, he will ask you, how do you justify 50%? How do you justify when you say my question? Is it just because you like me, or just because it's my answer, so it must be 80%? So you should be able to justify. So whether it's from the Quran and Sunnah, is it correct from scientific perspective? Is it correct statistically? Is it correct factually? So like most of the time, shockingly, he would say, I would give 25% for my answer. Like most of the already like on YouTube, and he's like very frank to it. Like if he analyzes his own answer, because it happens without planning. Like he has like training and he memorized things that he already said, several sets of questions that already used to it and he already accustomed to it. But most of the questions is just out of the blue, and most of the answers. And when he analyzed, and he actually analyzed his own answer. So that's very interesting. And to even now today, even when eating with my friends, I was like, "How's the nasi lemak here?" It's like, how many percent you will give? Or 40%. I think sedap lah, how many percent? So I was just like, because we are actually throughout the training, actually we are trained to think like that. So for everything, you have to be specific. You have to be able to justify, not just based on your own feeling. Oh yeah, I think this is correct answer. How do you train? How do you answer hijab question? Oh, hijab is like woman is like a candy, and you throw one and then you take one, so which one you will collect? And then you of course you want the one who's wrapped. You don't want the candy. It's like you will get destroyed if you give answer like that. Because if you just analyze, you're gonna be you comparing women with candies. Oh, you compare this. So you just women are like pearls. Pearls have kept in the box, and the pearls were just thrown out in the open. Of course, which one is valuable? The valuable you keep in the box. You will get destroyed probably if you just without any proper justification for you to give. So you have to think more beyond how to give an answer. So probably that's just a little bit gist and that. And I think about the techniques and everything, the second session probably the rest of the Proteges will do more justice in explaining the techniques, the specific techniques, and the specific experience that we have been trained throughout the IDDP 2016. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.